Hey everybody, Christian here from Christian's Awesome Animals. Opening the video is Connor, a little Nubian goat right here. Alright, come on Connor, go play. Go play. Go play. Go be a goat. So, today we're going to be talking about why the wild doesn't exist anymore, which is something I tell a lot of people and they don't understand it. So, allow me to explain. Now, one of the things that animal rights people always tell both people who support animals in captivity as well as people who own and work with these animals, they tell them that that animal belongs in the wild and in the wild only. So many reasons why that's wrong, but one of them is what wild? There really is no wild left. Here, let me explain. So usually when I tell people this, they'll usually bring up, oh, but what about the nature documentaries where you see the African elephants, happily roaming the African plains, or the Asian elephants roaming the jungles, or the tigers roaming the jungles, or monkeys swinging on the trees in South America. And the thing is, people don't understand, that's government land, that's regulated land, their animals are not free. Yes, it's big, it's thousands, sometimes millions of acres, but it's all fenced in. The animals are not allowed to leave that area. Those are reserves. That's government owned and regulated land that they established to protect those animals. And we'll go into that in the end. So let's talk about a little more why the wild doesn't exist anymore. So first of all, humans have destroyed or taken over whatever wild was left. And yes, that includes the ocean, folks. So, although technically the ocean really isn't government-owned land, it's still not the wild anymore. Humans have destroyed it. It's polluted. We're seeing animals being affected. We're seeing animals die because humans have destroyed the ocean. It's polluted. There are still microplastics in the ocean that are harming marine life to this day. It's not free anymore, guys. Alright. What all people aren't realizing is as the human population grows, there is less habitat for these animals to live in. These animals are literally running out of places to live. Now, examples and evidence that shows that is instead of animals roaming in their habitats, we're seeing things like coyotes lounging in people's backyard patios, or cougars eating people's pets that they snatch right off their front porch, or animals trying to cross the road. There's not supposed to be roads in the wild, remember that. But animals trying to cross the road and then getting hit by a car. And as I've stated, animals are not allowed to leave those reserves. If an animal leaves that reserve or roams too far away from it, they are usually relocated. If they stray too far, some of them are even euthanized. Now, one of the reasons why animals are losing their land is agriculture. When land is taken for agriculture, animals lose their homes. Now, I'm not saying we should just stop agriculture, we should stop farming, not saying that at all. So, because I know people like to jump to conclusions, that's not what I'm saying at all. I think it's actually important that we preserve our farms and preserve our agriculture because that's what we use to feed ourselves, but we should continue to do it in a sustainable way, which is what a lot of farmers are looking to do. Now, here in North America, for instance, think a moment, have you ever seen a bison? You haven't, right? Because one of the only places you can really see them here in the United States is Yellowstone National Park. Government-owned and regulated land, not allowed to leave there. And in Asia, for instance, elephants are being forced into human civilization and they are chased off and even killed when they raid crops. Same thing's happening in Africa. Now, because of this, both African and Asian elephants are being seen as nuisance animals. Alright, as we also mentioned with the ocean, there's also pollution which poisons and kills animals. Not just in the ocean, folks, where we're seeing sea turtles, with the straws in their noses, or fish being poisoned by eating plastic, or dolphins dying from consuming a soda can. It's not just that. It's also, for example, here in North America, United States, if you go to any heavily populated area, I challenge you to find 3 things that do not belong there. Trash, folks. Those animals eat the trash, they subsequently die, or they get complications, and sure, they might continue to live for a little bit, but they're suffering in the process. Also, poaching. Some animals, believe it or not, are expected to go extinct by the year 2025 or 2030 due to poaching. Animals, for instance, elephants, are being poached for their ivory. There are animals that are being poached for their hide, such as the broad-snouted caiman in South America. And this is decimating animal populations. Did you know over 30,000 African elephants are killed annually in Africa? 30,000 annually. Now, to put that into perspective, that's around 98 to about 100 elephants a day. Let's see. Now, because of low populations, we're also seeing cases of high mortality rates because of inbreeding. As populations get lower and lower, animals are going to be kind of forced to mate with their relatives. And because of that, we're seeing more fatality rates with babies. We're seeing babies die higher rates. Sorry, I can't talk today, but we're not seeing surviving babies like we used to. We're seeing higher mortality rates. Now, we're also seeing cases of drought killing animals because of overgrazing. For instance, in Africa, we're seeing cases where predator populations are, of course, going down, and because of that, their prey items are actually going up and overgrazing on their land, and they're kind of turning the savannas more into deserts. And because of it, the droughts are getting worse and worse and worse. Now, there is a lot more I can get into, but I'm trying to keep this video short. So what can we do to help these animals? Well, for one thing, the reserves. So the only wild we're really going to have for animals are those reserves. That's the closest thing we can give the wild to animals, where they can live somewhat freely. They can look for their own food, look for their own water. They can live their lives as nature intended. Because in a perfect world, all animals would be free in the wild without any conflict. Emphasis on in a perfect world. We don't have a perfect world anymore, so unfortunately, we're going to have to give them those reserves, and we're going to have to regulate those animals. And when a reserve becomes overpopulated with a certain animals, some reserves are actually relocating those animals to a reserve where there's lower populations where they can breed there, and they're going to continue repeating that process until the reserves have steady populations. Now, to prevent overpopulation, that's where trophy hunting can come in. I know trophy hunting is a bit taboo. Don't worry, we'll cover that in the next video. That's actually a really good topic that I really do think people should be more educated about, because in certain cases, trophy hunting can actually help animals if it's done correctly. Again, I'm not going to get into that right now. We'll do that in the next video. Believe it or not, what else we can do? Zoos, captive conservation, breeding programs, research. These are things that come from zoos. They come from private individuals. They come from animals in captivity. For example, SeaWorld. If it was not for SeaWorld, not only would we not know very much about orcas, but we wouldn't really have anything to help them with. For instance, because of that, we now know the growth rate of orcas, what their hearing is like, how big they can get, and believe it or not, before orcas were held in captivity, they were feared more than sharks. Now people have a greater respect for orcas. This is one of the big things that zoos can do. They allow people to grow passion for animals and truly learn about them so that they want to help them. Not to mention, SeaWorld has also done things for things like otters. They've rescued 35,000 animals so far. They're doing good for animals. They do so much for animals that they never get any credit for because people are too busy hating on them. Again, a video for another day. I really hope this video opened you guys up because unfortunately there really is no wild left. The only thing we have are those government-owned reserves that those animals can live on, but even still, it's just a bigger enclosure. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Don't worry, we're gonna really get back to making videos every week. I know we've been kind of slacking with these videos. When you work with animals, a lot of your time just gets taken up. But don't worry, we're gonna go back to making videos every week. I promise. Expect them every Monday. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.